Welcome to the Bestie Perspective, a raw, unfiltered space where we explore the mind, body, spirit connection. Every week, we dive into personal growth, holistic healing, and life's ups and downs to inspire, support, and remind you you're never alone on this journey. Welcome back to another episode of the Bestie Perspective. We are so glad you're here today because we are diving into something that is equal parts mysterious and magical: intuition. We're going to be asking questions like, what is it really? Is it mystical, tangible, or somewhere in between? How do we access it, and what does it feel like in everyday life? And I'll be honest, there was a time I didn't even believe in intuition at all. As a total science and research nerd, I was all about proof, evidence, data. And because intuition can't really be easily seen, measured, or studied, I wasn't very connected to that at all. But in reflecting on all of that, I feel like that skepticism, that detachment, that was actually necessary for me to have the space to build my own personal connection with it, with intuition, to play with it and discover it from the inside out. So wherever you're coming from, in this episode today, we're breaking it all down: what intuition is, how it shows up, and how you can start noticing it in the simplest moments of your life. So I decided to bring along Eileen and Lauren for this conversation because I look up to these women very deeply. I consider them highly intuitive women, and I've learned a lot about listening to my own intuition just by being in the presence of these two wonderful women.
You stop it.
I know, you're so sweet.
And I don't say that just to flatter. Seriously, you guys have taught me ways to slow down and really trust my inner voice in ways that I didn't know how to tap into for myself. And we'll get to all that juicy goodness later on. But, I thought it would be kind of interesting to start off by asking each other, how do you define or describe intuition?
I feel like it's the spirit's voice in a way. It's like language of the soul type of essence, if that's how I would describe it. Intuition is that remembering, that truth, and those nudges that are guiding us. And I think that voice gets louder when we're connected to who we truly are, to source, the universe, however people may want to put it, but that's how I would define it.
Ooh, I like that for sure. I think the first thing that came to me was like the inner voice of wisdom, or like the inner voice of knowing, which I feel like you articulated in more detail, even Eileen.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the same essence of
the same essence. Where it's like, that's the first phrase that came to me. And then when you shared, I was like, yes, it's like the voice. Or it's like even our higher power voice, it's like the voice of all knowing, like you, and the way that you described it too, Eileen. And it's almost, and like you said, the more that you are aligned and tuned into yourself, the louder that voice becomes. And that's definitely something I've experienced. And I also feel like the more trust you give it, the more you listen to it and respect it.
Amen.
The louder and the more often it comes through,
I also like the voice of all knowing too. That sounds good too. Yes.
Thanks.
I had that moment of yes, like Lauren did for you too. When like sometimes people will hear the term your most natural self or coming home to yourself. And I feel like it kind of is encompassed into that because intuition is so natural but a lot of us stray away from it or kind of lose the connection with that innermost voice.
Or at minimum, we question it and doubt it, right?
Gaslight it. If you're like me.
Yes, for sure.
How do we become most connected to that like innermost voice, or to our most natural self, or to our higher self? Like what do we do? How do we get there? How do our listeners get there? Or begin to? Because that's really kind of a big question to ask for one little podcast episode. But
I think the first thing that's popping up for me is spending time with yourself. It's so easy to look outward to seek even advice and things from others or the internet and WebMD. No, I don't know. But like, it's so easy to Dr. Google. But it's so easy to look outward. And I think that the more that we can spend time with ourselves and sit and pause and reflect and ponder and just spend time in our own little minds. We were actually talking about mindfulness just before this episode, but that mindfulness time, and that can look different for everyone, but with the hustle culture again and the looking outward, I think not many people just take time to like sit still and just ask the question in our own head and sit with what comes up there.
I swear we are, this is a yes moment for me too. I swear we're just going to be answering the questions each, and it's going to be the same answer in different words.
Well, good. Maybe we'll hit more people with different ways of saying it, right?
Because how I was thinking is slow down and get quiet. It's exactly not word for word, but that's pretty much what Lauren's saying. Slow down, you get quiet. You get internal, as Lauren said, listen to your body. And then you got to start differentiating what is all this that is inside. So that's where Lauren says with your thoughts and whatnot, it's assessment, right, ladies? All three of us are nurses. Assessing the thoughts. Is this something I want to be true? Is this like, if we go throughout the whole day and listen to all that chatter, we're going to wake up and realize I don't have to adopt every single thing. And if I were, then I would probably go insane, because how many times are thoughts contradicting themselves, right?
Right. Even just with the tens of thousands of thoughts we, especially as women, have every single day.
Thousands.
Oh, Lord. Our poor husbands. But I will add a little bit on top. I'll put a little whipped cream there and say to also just not deny the symbols or synchronicities right away. I say if something comes up, a lot of people say, oh no, dreams are just dreams. Oh, that just means this.
It's a coincidence, right?
Yes.
That's another big one.
Yes, it's true that we are the power. We're the ones that give meaning to things. However, sometimes that's how the world will speak. That intuitive realm will speak to you, is through symbols and whatnot. So I would say just get curious. Don't jump straight to denial.
I like your little cherry and whipped cream. And just to add a chocolate drizzle on there.
This is the Intuition Sundae, everyone.
Yes. No, I also thought, like, when you were saying, it can be those little synchronicities that I think some people are picturing, like lightning bolt out of the sky, like beyond dramatic. And like, it has to be this huge, big thing to mean something. When actually it can be something as simple as, if anyone's heard our other episodes, as simple as bay leaves, right? Like, it can be so small, such a little thing. And it's actually really meaningful or really powerful. So
you're bringing up something so important, because I think people think it's got to be a slap in the face, when a lot of times it's just a gentle nudge. It's loving, it's subtle, it's soft. It doesn't have to be a kick in the butt down the stairs, right?
Right. Like, give me a sign. And they're expecting this like big dramatic thing. But yeah, it's often, and I think that plays into what we said earlier because it is about paying attention, because it is just a gentle nudge usually. Sometimes there are things that are a little more whoa in your face, but it's paying attention to the little nudges for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the slowing down and tuning in and kind of creating some sort of inner peace, whatever that is for you, makes those signs so much more visible, whatever it may be.
That
Yeah.
makes sense because it's like the nervous system regulation episode. We understand that in fight or flight, you can't focus. We understand that in the rest and digest, that's where we can absorb information better. And so if we're not in that slowed down, relaxed state, we're going to miss the subtle voice of intuition.
For sure.
I love the mindfulness practice. Who am I? Have you guys ever practiced that one before? Basically, there's lots of different flavors of it, but who am I? Mindfulness practices are meant to teach you, like, okay, you're not your name, you're not your job title, you're not Eileen, you're not just a mom, you're not a former nurse, you're not an energy healer, you're not just this. Like, you're so much more than that. At the end of the day, you are. I am. And I'm doing a really crappy job of explaining it. You have to experience it. Okay.
No,
Well-
I think you're explaining it well. I would try it.
Well, if anything, it also sounds familiar, and probably because you said there are different flavors to that practice. But even Neville Goddard and his mentoring and coaching people in the manifestation realm would say, he would suggest you sit and meditate, and all you say is, I am. I am. And you just repeat that only. You don't add I am and your name or anything. You take all the labels off and get to the root. Who are you? So that sounds exactly like what you're speaking to. It's just another way of doing it.
Ooh, I'm pitting this one, ladies. I don't know that I've done it before, so sounds fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's very, wouldn't you say, since Hannah, you've tried it, wouldn't you say you feel like lighter? Like you're taking off the weight of the labels?
Yes, it feels like you're shedding the layers, like getting to the root of what you're not. And it was like, okay, I'm taking off that layer. Okay, if that's not me, then like, who am I? Okay, if that's not me, then who am I? And it does. You just begin to shed, okay, I am. And you feel lighter at the end of the day.
Lauren, you got to do it.
I will.
Eileen, before we started recording, you were talking about something that your energy medicine professor had shared too, about asking. I feel like that kind of ties in with differentiation, asking what's yours. So talk about that a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that Fernand Poulin is his name, and Fernand would have us, whenever there's something in your body that we're feeling, if it's in your chest, if it's anything, even a thought sometimes your own voice, it sounds like you, but it doesn't seem like it's a natural thought of yours or like you'd ever think it. And so when there's something questionable, either in your body or in your mind, or you even see in your mind's eye, you can ask, is this mine? Is this mine? And even before that, he had us test, what does yes feel in my body? What does no feel in my body? When you have played with that enough, saying yes and seeing what that feels like, saying no, then when you ask questions like, is this mine? And pause, you wait for the feeling and you can tell if it's a yes or a no. And then you start there. Okay, this is not mine. Let me see whose this could be. Who is sending me something even my way? Because we're all connected. We can be, connecting with someone else and not even realizing, or someone's trying to come in our direction. So, yeah, to ask that question and get clarity was such a great starting point.
I feel like asking myself questions like that would have been so good to do after the mindfulness practice of who am I?
Mm.
Because you come from that lighter place where you feel like you've kind of eliminated the other stuff. Or like eliminate the BS and come on. All right, now bring it to me. Give it to me. And I can tell you yes or no easily because, that you're starting with like a fresh slate is what that felt like to me.
You know what it reminds me? When my husband takes my glasses to clean them and is like, what are you looking through right now? What is this Elena fingerprint and dust over here and stuff? He's like, oh my gosh, woman.
A little bit of your lunch over there.
So
That is too
clean the perception first.
Yes. This is also kind of random, but in prep for this episode, I never know where to plug this, but I feel like there's just certain things like songs and movies that have shaped my idea of intuition or how I connect to intuition. I feel it when I'm listening to the song too. One of the movies for me is definitely Pocahontas. Because I feel like it's all encompassing that connection to mind, body, and spirit with yourself and everything in the natural world. Seeing beyond the low level energy of the greed and the audacity we've said before.
The audacity.
Inside joke, everyone.
Of the colonizers who came and just acted like they owned the whole place. And I feel like there was so many timeless lessons in that movie just from that message alone, that we do not own the earth. It's part of us.
Yeah.
Well, if that one's yours, mine is Avatar, which is basically a modern version of Pocahontas. I love both of them. And if anything, I want to say it was the second one that made me cry. Like I felt it so much. And I think maybe with it being more CGI versus Pocahontas being a cartoon, it just felt more real. And just the beauty and imagery in those movies, I was just like, if I'm from another planet, that is my home.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I haven't seen Avatar in so long.
Oh, there's so many connections though, as far as that one and Pocahontas.
No, I want to go watch it. Avatar is going to be my next request.
Yeah.
Do
I
it.
haven't seen Pocahontas in forever, actually. And so now this is making me want to watch Pocahontas again as an adult, because I don't know that I've watched it as an adult, actually.
Yeah. And the songs in Pocahontas, when she's talking to Grandmother Willow, she's there alone, she's with the animals, she's like, I love this man, but my tribe wants to kill him. And all of the colonizers, she has this
connection to
dilemma, but connection to nature. Yeah, that she's looking for the answers in connecting with nature.
Well, that's the deity from Avatar too, and the home tree, and they, put their little braid ponytail thing and connect.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's Grandmother Willow. What was it? Yeah, it's that same kind of concept of listening to our ancestors and getting the signs and all that, connecting to nature. It's like a nervous system network. So
right. That stuff, I get a little bit of goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the songs that Grandmother Willow sings to Pocahontas is called Listen with Your Heart, which I feel like is just one of the ultimate keys to accessing your intuition, like we talked about in the cacao episode.
Yeah.
And she sings, I'm not going to sing it, I'll save you guys that, but she sings Que natura. You will understand. Listen to your heart. You will understand. Let it break upon you like a wave upon the sand. Listen to your heart. You will understand. And I don't know exactly what que natural is, but it gives me this like Spanish grandmother vibes. Like it's so natural. Don't try to overthink it. It's as easy as a wave breaking upon a shore, as taking a breath, you know? Like you just have
Yeah.
to slow down and learn what it is to listen to your heart.
And I feel like the waves crashing has also been a theme through some of our podcasts, which is fun that this stood out to you.
Yes.
So pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Another point I wanted to hit in this podcast for sure was the ways that we are disconnecting with our intuition, maybe without us even realizing it. When I first became interested in connecting with my intuition again, I would start to feel a gentle nudge and then I would just question it to death and gaslight the hell out of myself and be like, well, but what if this? Or no, that's just, you're just anxious or you have no way of proving that's real. Or, I mean, I can go, the list goes on. I couldn't just be comfortable with letting it be my intuition and that's that. And I feel like that was the biggest way I disconnected myself from allowing it to come in.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. I know there's been times that I've done that for sure in my journey as well. And then I think I also just think back to what we were saying as something that taps us in being mindfulness. I think the less time I make for that, the less connected I feel to my intuition. I mean, I think I have a pretty strong intuition, so it's not like it ever goes away for me anymore, but I can definitely tell a big difference of when I've spent that time, or even just like our girl time together is always so just juicy and spiritual and cup filling that usually after the three of us hang out, it feels like there's potent energy there. And I feel actually more connected and more intuitive for at least like days, which is kind of funny to notice. But yeah, I would say not taking the time to fill our own cups is another thing that can, distance us from our intuition, because we have to be connected with ourselves to connect with our intuition.
The ways that came to mind for me, number one was when I'm just like technology overload. When I've been on my phone all day and then my laptop and then in the evening my television. Like if I don't go outside with my daughter, if I don't, even just going on a car ride, I know that's a piece of technology and your GPS and all that, but just being out in nature a bit. Yes. So technology, especially if I'm scrolling all day, that type of thing, completely disconnected. And another way is me not asking myself first. If I just don't even get curious, don't inquire within, and I'm just, well, let me research it, or let me ask Eddie, or let me just not even go to, my inner advisor. Let me just cut the intuition before it even has a chance, and I'll just go see what someone else has to say.
I totally relate to you with the technology piece.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right?
that plays into the gaslighting, because I will like see something on my feed and I'm like, oh, and I'll think, hey, I was just talking about that, or I was just thinking about that. Was this meant for me? No, my phone's just been around me way too long all day today. The algorithm is catching up.
Yeah.
That's a silly way that connects there, but it's true.
So true.
Something that kept me from wanting to explore intuition more openly in my life was kind of this fear of what people would think of me. So my people pleasing tendencies came up. How will I appear to so and so? Or would this go against what I was taught, born and raised as a Christian? All those questions started to come into of, is this okay, essentially? And that for a long time also disconnected me. But where I think we reconnect, like we've already said before, slowing down is definitely the starting point. And that can look so many different ways. Before we started recording, we were just chit-chatting together about how you don't have to have some rigid before 5 a.m. meditation routine, because that might burn you out faster than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like Eileen, you were sharing, sometimes you just get into a flow of things that help you feel positive, whether that's affirmation or I can't
Yeah.
put it into your words exactly.
Yeah, what I was saying was I take time every day because I think we touched on points of getting quiet, reconnect, doing those things, but practicing that on a daily basis also strengthens your intuition because then you'll really know what is and is not happening. And so, in that, I did try a rigid way of meditating every day at a specific hour and specific position, even. And this is no condemnation, no judgment if anybody out there does it that way. There are monks that's where they're supposed to be and that's what works for them, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I always leave it open and have a flow about it. So one day may look like a rampage or rambling of just positive thoughts of I'm just going to put out there what I want to be thinking, what I want to be saying, and I just go, 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 go in my mind. Another could be a walk. Another day could be watching a very inspiring YouTube video. And so it always looks different for me. And in flowing that way, it feels less strenuous. It also feels intuitive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am
Mhm.
intuitively connecting to something that makes me more intuitive every day.
Yeah, but I think that's the important piece because I think the more rigid we are, the more it puts us into our heads and out of our body and out of our hearts. So having just that more fluid approach, that intuitive approach, I feel like it gives us the opportunity to really feed ourselves what we need that day. Because that does change on a day-to-day basis, right? Even when we talked in the intuitive movement episode about listening to what your body is craving that
Right.
day. Well, what is the mind craving today? Do you need more slow time? Are you craving a little intellectual stimulation, like you said, watching one of your favorite, educator, manifestation people, or whoever? I think having that flow and that freedom is really, really important.
And
Uh-huh.
it is okay if that's not the way for somebody else. For somebody, when they have a grueling workout and getting themselves in their body and out of their overthinking mind, that might be their way. And that's
Mhm.
totally fine. Even just men in general, being in the masculine and more comfortable there, they may like the rigidity of, no, I have to meditate every day.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a very, very spiritual guy friend for a while that was every day. He would not let up and always had to do his routine. And he was so connected and intuitive. So I do think that you guys out there got to find your flavor.
For sure.
And some of it is intense. Some people have found amazing experiences in like polar plunges, for example. I
Mhm.
myself did sadhu boards. If anyone's heard of that, those are nail boards you stand on barefoot. And it was an experience of my life. It was amazing. But there are people out there that don't understand if I share that with them. They're like, why the heck would you want to do that? So yeah, it's so true. There are these intense or regimented things that can get you there as well. So for people, I think you've got to explore on your own. You've got to decide for yourself what's going to work for you. You do not have to go stand on nail boards, though. It's okay.
Make your own Intuition Sundae, like we talked about earlier, right?
Even the things that get me slowed down are like just when my dog comes up to me randomly and does like their aggressive nose nudge under my elbow to get them to pet me. Pet
They're
me, Mom,
ready to
pet me.
play. Yeah.
Yes.
Ready for touches.
Yeah. And before that, I might be on my phone or somewhere far away. That we've talked about that before, where I've been overthinking about something or spiraling. And then they're just there to be like, hey, I'm here, so you can come back now and give me all the attention.
That sounds like Elena. I think she could make full sentences that would come out of her mouth.
I so agree with you though, Hannah. Luna will do the same thing. And even if I'm like stressed or I'm working on something or whatever, and she'll come up and just kind of be like, hello, did you remember I'm here? Can I have some pets now? And I definitely have gotten in more of a practice of pausing in those moments and playing with her a little or loving on her. And I'm with you. I think it's a nice back to reality moment or back to the present kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah. There's so many different ways. I came up with a ton of different ideas that I have experienced this slowing down in my own life, because I just wanted to get our listeners' wheels spinning about like, what have they done in their life? If they've tried any of these things, did they experience that slowing down? If they could go back and kind of reflect on that, whether that's yoga, breath work, meditation, running, gardening, petting their dogs. I experience it when I'm sitting there rendering my tallow, just stirring the pot, staring into the mountains. And even artwork and doing anything with my hands, cooking, drawing, doodling, painting, molding with clay, friendship bracelets, those types of things. When I was a little girl, I would do. And I would just, that takes my mind out of that overthinking mode.
That like hamster wheel.
Yeah. Those types of activities really helped me a lot.
But I love that you have running on there. Like we were saying, for some people, physical, regimented, however, a more intense activity may be what they need to get them out of that headspace.
Yeah. And running is, and that one is tricky. I'm glad you pointed that one out, actually, because sometimes your mind will get really loud when you're doing something intense. And your mind might start to tell you, you can't do this. This is really hard, da da da. And you start like playing games with yourself. Like you got two different, an angel and a devil on your shoulder, right? Like one that's like, you can do this. Keep going. You got it. You're strong. And the other one is like, go back home. You know where the ice cream's at and the couch.
Girl, you best believe I heard that voice when my butt was standing on those nails. Holy yes, that was exactly what it was saying. Like, get the F off, you dumb bitch. What are you doing? This is terribly painful. What are we doing? Like, all of those, that negative talk was intense that day, but getting through it and getting past that point was absolutely amazing. I did not expect to experience and feel something so amazing and cool in my body getting past the pain. So, yeah, I totally relate to your running experience.
Yes. It makes me think of, I know you mentioned polar plunges earlier. I feel like that same reaction. I think the very first polar plunge I did was actually with you, Eileen.
Yes.
And I remember the first time, didn't we like hold hands and run in? And I remember being like, okay, I'm done. And then it was like 15 seconds, I think, was the first one.
It was seconds for sure.
And then I actually remember, I know we did one at near my house as well in the lake. And then I did one as well with Ira and Hannah and Jason. And I noticed that the 2 times in the lake, like after I had done it and I realized, wait, our body's natural reaction is like to suck in air and then be like, fight or flight. What am I doing in here? This isn't comfortable. And then I realized I just have to tune into my breath
Mm-hmm.
and breathe through it and not suck in, but instead invite in more oxygen and breathe at a steady pace. And I was able to stay in for minutes. And
Yeah,
it was
she did great.
amazing. And so same thing though, right? Like if you can let it overtake you and go, I gotta get out of here, all the things, the mind's going crazy. But then you can also center in like you did. It sounds like in your practice as well. That voice was like, get off these nails, bitch. What are you doing?
Heck
But
yeah.
same with the cold water, it's like, get out of here. This is cold. This hurts. I can't feel my toes. But when you do breathe through it, like the benefits you feel after and the clarity and the inspiration and the euphoria, it's amazing. And another thing I wanted to touch on actually, Hannah, when you were just talking about the different things that people can do, it reminded me that the overall umbrella is finding what gets you into a flow state.
Mm-hmm.
And by flow state, for anyone who is kind of like, what is flow state? Whenever you're doing something and you get so lost in it, you lose track of time, you're peaceful during it, right? Like it's something that you enjoy so much that you kind of just lose track of time. You're so in flow. That's flow state. And that's, I think, the overarching umbrella here is, yes, all of us are so different, but find the thing that puts you in flow state. Whether, like we said, whether it's something more active like running or standing on a board of nails, or maybe it's, cooking, like Hannah said, getting her hands into things, making her tallow, right? That's going to be different for everyone, but it's finding what brings you into flow state.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Maybe
is
it's
like,
playing piano or snowboarding for somebody.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to tie in the idea of connecting in with your body. We kind of touched on that before too, but if you're intrigued in looking more into what that's like, looking up somatic practices, somatic experiences,
Mm-hmm.
practicing what feels like yes or no to you, acknowledging how traumatic experiences are shaping your connection or disconnection to your intuition, and allowing that to be part of your journey if it is. Cacao,
Mm-hmm.
maybe cacao.
Absolutely.
In connecting with your heart, in your heart space with your emotions, that's been a major driver for me in learning to even just name the emotion. And a little bit more descriptively, I challenge myself, not just happy, but am I feeling energized or inspired or grateful? Getting really descriptive with the emotion that you feel, I think, has connected me more with my heart and therefore my intuition too. Another one, tarot and oracle card play without looking up the meanings, without looking in your guidebook, because this one I say, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I would say in connecting with your intuition, to be mindful with this one, you have to really get to the nitty gritty of what certain symbols and things mean for you when you pull that card and you start to see this beautiful artwork. What do you feel when you look at that card? Tuning into that somatic awareness. It's like a little playground for your intuition.
I'm glad you brought that one up, though,
Mm.
because I think that there are even people that are flat out scared of using tarot cards. If you have a religious background, for example, and you've been taught, oh, that's playing with the devil even, or dark spirits or that sort of a thing. And it can really just be a tool. Who is to say that spirit cannot come through using cards? There's no way. People get inspired through so many different things, even just a video you fall upon on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't a card that happens to come out of a deck inspire you? Why not? A thought can inspire you. Someone's words can inspire you. So I think if people look at it as it's just a tool, it is your most dominant energy that's always coming through. And it is malleable and fluid. I do think that there are tarot readers that have scared people to think, you are going to die or something terrible is going to happen to you.
You're
or
cursed.
You're cursed. Exactly.
Yeah.
Where if anybody ever tells you that, then you just, from now on, listen to Eileen, to ignore it, okay? Because any kind of cards like that are doing is just being a useful tool for your current state. And not everyone, as Lauren was talking about, is in flow state. So you might get some negative cards out. And that's all right. Your intuition through the cards is just letting you know what's up. And that's just direction for you. That's all. It's not end game. It's okay.
And I think it's important to know that everyone who's using tarot cards is not the same. They're tapping in from different places, right? But I think there are really beautiful spiritual teachings every single day found through tarot cards and oracle cards. It's really fun to find that in the one that I draw for the day. So we kind of just touched in on some of the misconceptions of like tarot and kind of the bad, icky side of it that some people have a perception of. Let's just talk about the misconceptions of intuition altogether.
Well, one thing that came to me was that intuition doesn't always lead to comfort. I think a lot of people have an assumption, right, ladies, that intuition is going to be just so nice, lovey-dovey, and warm and fuzzy. And oftentimes, right, we're like, oh, we know that ain't it now. But yeah, if you're new to even the idea of learning to trust your intuition, what it actually does is it often guides you towards growth. And sometimes growth is uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels risky and scary. And so I think that's a really good misconception to start out with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think another one, I know we mentioned it earlier, and I just want to bring it up here under this misconception area too, was when we talked about like it having to be this giant sign versus a little nudge. So I just feel like that also fits in here.
Sure.
So I just want to mention it here again for everyone that, yeah, I think people think intuition has to be this big, soul-shattering, life-shaking sign. But like we talked about earlier in this episode, it's often a gentle nudge. So just paying attention to the little nudges.
I always heard people describe intuition as a gut feeling. But for me, I don't feel a gut feeling. So I think the misconception that I'm trying to make here is that it's not only just a gut feeling. Like it can be thoughts, feelings, things that you can't even really describe, like just a knowing. It can be a gut feeling too, but it can show up in your dreams, like we were saying. It can show up in so many ways that are not just a gut feeling.
That's such a good one, Hannah. Because even how many times have we heard listen to your gut? What's your gut tell you? Well, sometimes the gut is just tapping into fear, and you need to listen to your heart, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that gut is digesting that burrito from lunch. No,
It's digesting this sundae with all the damn toppings we've put on.
And you're lactose intolerant.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Another one that intuition is not guessing. It's remembering. Remembering who we are. Remembering what does and does not resonate with us. Yeah. It's truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe this one also goes along with that, but that it's this like mystical out there.
You literally read my mind.
We are all doing this today, guys.
Intuition is on fleek today. But Yeah, but that it's just this out there mystical, ethereal kind of thing. I think that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people think. And then then they disassociate from that. Oh, well, I'm that's not me. Like I'm not this mystical, spiritual, blah, 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 however they might tell it to themselves. So I think it can cause people to distance themselves from their own intuition.
Because then you start to question everything. And I'll tell you, that is definitely a background that I came from, being very like, I have to see things. I don't want to waste my energy questioning if things are true or not. If I see research and science and blah, 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 then I'll believe it.
Yeah.
If there's a book about it, then maybe I will read it and then maybe I will believe it. But even then, I'm still not sure. But I think, yeah, blocking yourself from believing it, man, just because you don't identify as that person.
Because like we talked about throughout this episode, it's so different for everyone, how we get into that space, how it looks. Some people might feel it in the gut potentially, but some get messages, words pop up in their head, phrases, or just a compulsion to call a certain person, right? You never.
Yeah. The compulsion, look, this is where that story I was talking about earlier fits in. I didn't feel anything. It was a compulsion. I woke up from napping in a pool chair to rescue a 5-year-old out of a pool that no one heard drowning.
Yeah.
And I just saw her hair floating on top of the pool. I didn't know how long she had been in the pool. So I was scared that I was pulling a dead child out of the pool. Thank God she was not. I think she was only in there briefly, but I feel like this compulsion came out of me to wake up and like just gather my awareness. And I noticed that.
Yeah.
I can't describe that. I explain that. I don't think I can conduct research on that.
Sure.
Oh yeah. No, it's
But I also don't think that was mystical. It felt instinctive. Like I remember, like that was my ancestors come through.
Yes. And it's so funny to reflect on like the different ways it comes in, because as we've been talking, I was thinking, one of the ways that intuition comes in my daily life is timers. I have this weird intuition with time frames. So like say I'm cooking, or even yesterday I was trying an inversion table for the first time. And so Ira helped me get into it and everything. And I was like, okay, set a timer for 5 minutes for me. And he was like, okay. And then he was checking in with me a couple times while I was on it. And I was like, hey, babe, how much time do I have left? And he's like, it's exactly 5 minutes. Okay, let's get you off. But it's so weird because like I've had that happen so many times, even with like food timers and everything. I just like know when it's time. And I have the timer set anyway, just in case. But it's like I have this like you said, Hannah, how you were just kind of like woken up and like your awareness came to. And it's sort of the same feeling. Like we could be doing something. We could be, my husband and I could be out in the garage singing karaoke, having a good time. And then something comes in like, oh, check the timer. And then I go inside. And then like, as soon as I open the door, the timer starts going off. Like it's wild, but that's just to show people too that it doesn't always have to be this profound thing, right? Like Hannah's was this life-saving moment that she shared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but in that moment, I didn't know. I was just like, okay, I guess it's time to get up. Like, it wasn't like a lightning bolt hit me. It was just like,
right.
Okay, like we're going to get up now. And then it turned into like, oh shit situation. But
yeah.
before that, it was like, yeah. So I want to clarify that it wasn't like
the lightning bolt, but
yeah,
but it was still a profound situation.
Yeah.
At the end of the
I
day.
see yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like mine's like, I mean, maybe I'll burn dinner, but like, it wasn't so life or death. You know what I mean?
So I have I guess I have a question to pose for you ladies when it comes to things that feel negative. And I've had some people, a couple of friends, one was a coworker and one's a friend, that have felt something really negative and then have just claimed it to be intuition, where I am more on the lines of, no, you decided that. That was choice. You decided that that was going to be true. So what if you get a negative hit and you just say, okay, then this is what's going to happen? Is that really intuition, or is that you claiming and giving that power? For example, the old coworker, she said that she felt that she could be psychic, but only when it comes to negative things. Like if she was going to work and saw traffic coming about, oh, I bet this is going to go wrong. I bet I'm going to be late, or whatever, something, a negative statement. I just have a feeling that it's going to go this way. And then she said, it always happens. She's like, I'm always right, but it's always about the bad stuff.
So it's like the difference between manifesting our reality versus true intuition.
Right.
Kind of, right? That
I do
line
feel
there.
like some people are blurring the lines and flat out
Yeah.
mistaking it.
That's a good point to bring in, because it really sounds like there's a claiming of that reality there that happens to be more of a negative reality.
Right. So, and another example with a friend who just had a baby, had this overwhelming feeling and burst of tears saying they're going to leave me when they're older. And the father of that child said, what are you no, that's not going to happen. It's okay. And the woman was like, no, it really, really feels that way. And then in the future, the adult son doesn't talk to his mother, but talks to his father. But the father decided no. So was that intuition, or was that decision? Because
I love that you bring this into the conversation, because when you are trying to reconnect with your intuition, you start to become aware of your thoughts in the first place, because that's the one thing that comes in all the time that you have to, if you're trying to slow down and pay attention to any of the ways that intuition is coming to speak to you, a lot of times the thoughts are going to be the most distracting thing.
yeah.
And because they want your attention. One of the first things I ever learned that was so powerful is not every thought is true.
There you
Not
go.
every thought you have is true. You have to filter it and discern, like what you were saying, what is mine, what is not mine,
Yes.
and what's going to serve me in the life that I am envisioning for myself.
There you go.
Clearly, that I don't think that mom wanted a life where her son was not going to be part of it, but she claimed it, right?
There you go. I think that's where, in these uncertain moments, if you want to say you aren't sure if this is intuition or not, just claim what you want. Okay, if this is an intuitive hit and I'm being told this about my future, it's not what I want, and I'm going to at least aim for the opposite. I'm going to pray for the opposite. I'm going to think for what I do want to happen. That's where I think what you're touching on there, Hannah, where it's like, go towards how you want things to be in that case. You can, just because the thought comes in or the dream comes in, you can say, no, thank you. Put your hand up and say, no, I'm good. I'm actually going to be rich. No, I'm good. I'm actually going to be happy. And do we know for certain? No, but when we just embody that identity, then at least if we failed, we were going in the direction we wanted.
Right? You remind me of that exercise that you shared with our listeners about going throughout their day as if they had won the lottery or had won the
Yes.
sweepstakes for their dream trip. And even if it didn't happen, so when they were on their way throughout the day, it went a lot more in their favor in a way that they would have enjoyed than if they had not. And I imagine the same would be true, just to reel it back in for the example with the mom and the son. If she truly believed that the son was not going to be part of her life, I'm sure she was having intrusive thoughts about that for a long time. And then in the future, that was the result, because every thought, emotion, word that came out of her mouth, body gesture, it was from the root of, he's not going to be part of my life when I get older.
So it built momentum.
Right.
And then therefore came to fruition.
So
that's, yeah, I can see that in not just that story, but I see that in other people's lives where it's like we really are, we're not taking the power of our word and realizing that if we're saying this to be true, that builds momentum, creates identity, and then your world reflects it. It's all just an echo of that, right? So there is power in intuition then. Just because you get an intuitive hit, there's still decision. What do I do with this intuitive hit?
I feel like another thing too that I'm thinking about is how like sometimes it's not even clear in the moment. Like when you get a nudge, it's like something you realize later, whether it's later
Sure.
that day or
Oh my gosh, that happens to me all the time. Y'all know. Lauren will be like, "Why didn't you tell me before it happened to me? That would have been great."
I know. I'm like, Chase, thanks, Eileen, thanks.
I was like, I didn't know for who it was for or what. So even though some of my friends were maybe on not quite there, not quite accurate, that those were intuitive hits, I'll share one that I had when I was younger. I must have been in middle school, I want to say. My older brother was driving, but newly driving. So that would have put me at 14 or so. So maybe early high school. But we were in the car with my dad and my mom and dad and my other siblings. And we drove past a car accident. And the car looked similar to my older brother, and he wasn't with us. So there was a second of like, oh, wait, I thought that was my, Leo for a second. And I just had this feeling of like, no, he did get into a car accident. Oh my gosh, he did get into a car accident. Just because that's not him, he's not with us, he's elsewhere, he got into a car accident. And I started crying. And it was like silent tears, and I just didn't want to speak up. I was like, they're going to think I'm crazy. And this is my family. This is my other brothers and my mom and dad. And so I didn't say anything. And so we went and did what we did when my older brother got home later. Thankfully, it was just a fender bender, but he got into a car accident.
Wow.
And I said, I knew it. I don't know why, but something told me that you got into a car accident. And my mom and dad both were like, Edlin, no, you didn't. That's not true. No, I was like, no, when we saw the one car accident, for some reason, I just felt like, well, just because that's not him, I'm trying to explain. They were like, no, they stopped, they shut me down, they cut me off. So that moment for sure had me, well, not just deflated, but I think that had me kind of closet my intuition for a while. And so now as an adult that I am tuned in and tapped in and turned on and all the things, I know that I want to foster that growth in my daughter. She actually already is. When I think of someone that she knows in my head and I don't say anything, she's starting to say their names out loud. I will think of my mother just in the middle of the day and she goes, Nana. I thought about her library friend because I was going to possibly schedule a class for babies. And she said, Jason. This girl is tuning into her mama
That is
already.
so
Wow.
cute.
Isn't
I
that
love that.
amazing? So
She's
so
just so
early.
cute.
Like not even 2 though, and yet we as parents have a responsibility to make sure that that's not stifled. So
Mhm.
I can appreciate that experience so that I don't repeat that.
And I love in your story about your brother, it wasn't a positive, warm, fuzzy, intuitive
Right.
hit, but it was the truth.
Yes.
It wasn't fear speaking. It was a fear-inducing incident, but
Mm.
thank God he wasn't hurt. And it was just a fender bender. But I feel like that is one of the things that still trips me up is differentiating, okay, what's the truth and what's fear?
Yeah.
And then hearing your stories about Elena tuning in, I just think about a child who they're so not scared of so many things. They could see a spider and be like, ooh, what's that? Let's go chase it. Let's go play with it. But like we're conditioned, we're old farts. We're conditioned to be scared of it by now. And I think that's where we have so much to learn about what to not be scared of. What fears have we developed over time? Where did we learn them at? And being intentional about allowing Elena to play with her intuition in that way is only going to teach you more about your own fears and things that come up when she's learning. Because maybe when she gets older, maybe she shares those experiences with you.
So I think to help her, and I guess to help our listeners, if we circle back or hone in on people starting out and, well, how do I get into this intuition tapping? Then we do have to differentiate between intuition and fear with the negative hits. Because I do think that fear is still urgent, anxious, and loud. You know, it can be aggressive. Whereas intuition is still calm, clear, and neutral. Your potential drowning situation, Hannah, wasn't comfortable, but it still felt pretty neutral of like, okay, I don't know why, but I'm getting up. With my brother as well, it wasn't absolutely terrifying, the idea of him getting into a car accident, but I had tears claiming the discomfort of it. So even though it was uncomfortable, it was not fear.
I think you made a good point with that differentiation there, because I think especially for anyone out there who's an overthinker, right, that the urgency that you said, I feel like makes a lot of sense even for me and my own experiences, because I've had to sift through that. And yeah, oftentimes when it's like some kind of negative thought or worry popping in my head, some fear, it does feel like more intense, more, I don't want to say like naggy, but kind of like, oh, are you going to forget about this one? Oh, are you not going to give this one attention? It's almost like really begging for attention, where I feel like, again, like when we were saying about the gentle nudges, right? Like it feels a lot different, where now I'm able to go, hold up. That's just my fear. That's me overthinking right now. And like I acknowledge it, but then I try to see, right, like we talked about asking questions. Where's this coming from? Is it mine? Where am I feeling it? And oftentimes, even just taking that moment, those couple questions, we're able to see, oh, that's just my overthinker brain spinning some webs about some fear.
Right.
Not a gentle nudge towards something.
Okay. Love that. So to help our listeners with this new endeavor, if mine is differentiate between fear versus intuition, Lauren is saying start asking questions. And then Hannah with her labeling emotions, we need to do this with an intuitive hit too. How does
Mhm.
it feel? If you can't put an emotion on it, describe the temperature, warmth, coldness, color, texture kind of thing we've talked about in another episode. I would even suggest that. Okay, where is this intuitive hit even in my body? Maybe it's just in the mind, but it could also be somewhere physical.
It doesn't have to be so serious. You can play and be
Yeah.
creative. Like, that's what you just reminded me of, that there's no rules because how you experience your intuition is unique to you. So,
Yeah. And one
Definitely.
final thing I would say is let go of needing proof. And us as nurses, peer-reviewed articles are great. Scholarly articles and research and all of that is wonderful. But in this world, it doesn't always give you evidence. It gives you direction. And so
Yeah.
being willing to trust without full certainty actually makes a lot of magic and a lot of fun things happen. And the ability to get to be surprised with what shows up is so fun.
Mhm.
it all just really starts with slowing down to even be able to digest and become aware of these things, just to slow down. If you haven't listened to the nervous system episode, go way back and listen to that one. That was a really good one. But yeah, getting comfortable with slowing down and tuning into your heart, essentially.
Slow down and get curious.
I just heard once intuition asks for faith, not logic. It's a compass, not a map.
That's so good.
I love that quote. That kind of fits in perfectly to what I was just thinking, Eileen. Why is intuition even so important in the first place, especially nowadays? I feel like we're so overwhelmed and overstimulated with news and information overload and busy schedules and external expectations. There's a lot of noise that can really clog us up and disconnect us from that inner compass. And feeling so connected to that inner force with that compass being your guiding light, it connects you to your purpose, the things that really light you up, the things that make life feel like it's worth living. These are all of the things that I feel intuition to be important and playing a role in my life. I want to know, what roles of importance does intuition play in y'all's lives?
I think keeping me in alignment with me. I think that's like the short, concise way to put it. But when I listen to the nudges and I'm in tune with my intuition and I let that compass guide me without having to know or see the whole map, again, like Eileen said, that's where the magic happens. That's where those beautiful moments are created. And it's important for me because I know in my own experience that I've tried to live the life by the book and by the timeline, as we've talked in other episodes. But the more and more I got in tune with myself and in tune with my intuition, the closer it guided me to the truest version of myself and what I want out of life. And again, that alignment. And so again, it's like think about it like the lighthouse in the dark, right? We're out there in this dark ocean, getting swished this way and swished that way, not really knowing which way we're headed, but those hits of intuition provide those little glimmers and shimmers of light that we can follow. And if we do follow them, it's guiding us on the path most aligned with us.
Yeah, I definitely second what you're saying. It's the guide, it's not separate from you, and it just brings you home. it brings you home. It does make things easier. I do feel like people define it incorrectly sometimes. It is just the coming back to source, the remembering. And yeah, it's extremely important. If you're not there in that space and in flow, you can really create some chaos. And that's your right. I mean, have fun. That's just not how I want to live.
Right? It's like, again, being in that dark, like a dark ocean, right?
Yeah.
And the chaos is maybe a dark, stormy ocean. And without that light to guide you, good luck.
I guess I almost feel like I don't want anyone to think that you have to do intuition or you have to connect to it. It's a byproduct of you connecting to yourself, of you monitoring your thoughts, of you doing all these things that we're suggesting. Because your intuition has always been speaking to you. You just forgot how to listen.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that it can so connect you with your spirit, which is already part of you. Like you're saying, it's there with you. Just, are you listening?
Exactly right.
You can do a million things for your physical health. You can do a million things for your mental health. How do you choose to connect with your spiritual health? Who are you being to connect with that? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you build an Intuition Sundae. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yum.
Sprinkles, chocolate drizzle, fruit, cherry.
It kind of sounds like
All
a
of it.
disgusting banana split.
We can't wait until next week when we bring you guys another juicy episode. Till then, keep growing, keep glowing, and always trust in your own bestie perspective.